We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support this college football rebel outpost, the home for the college football sickos like you, with a donation, hit the $ where you make a comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody, and I mean everybody, even those Golden Bears that defeated my Golden Gophers. Everybody's welcome into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. It is Monday, September 15th, the midway point of September. Today, first of all, let me tell you what we're not going to talk about today, unless you put it up in the super chat or in your phone call. But I've pushed aside until tomorrow the new PATC Heisman watch list for week 4. I also pushed off until tomorrow the PATC watch list, the hot seat list for the head coaches. We just had 2 coaches fired. They were both on the hot seat list. We are going to push that off till tomorrow. We may talk about some of the games today that will be going on for week 4. So I got an outline of what we're going to do every single week, and I have pushed certain things off until tomorrow. Because I want to spend most of the time talking about Cody Campbell. Because here at PATC, we ask the question. What is the plan of Cody Campbell? We've been asking that question. We know he wants to save college sports. The moment to save college sports is here. And I've asked here at Peek Around the Corner, I've asked him on Twitter, I've sub-tweeted him, I've tweeted him, posted him. No answer, which is fine. I'm a nobody. I've always been a nobody, and I will always be a nobody. But I've had questions, and it's not just to Cody Campbell. It's to it's everybody. Because nobody likes what's going on now. What is the plan? What is the plan? Give us any details. Give us any details. You don't want this codification to happen. The settlement, remember? House versus NCAA. Nobody wants this to be codified, or I shouldn't say nobody. But a lot of people are shooting it down. All the lawyers, all the agents, Cody Campbell. All right. So what's the plan? I've asked the question. And I want to thank Cody Campbell. I know he did not write this letter to the USA Today. He did not do it because of the fat guy in Minnesota squawking here in the studio, way up here in Minnesota. He didn't. But I still want to thank him. I want to thank him for writing this letter to USA Today so we could all read it. We are going to go over this letter. I find some of it very interesting. Some of what he written, I got more questions, which is good. Some of the things he wrote about, oh man, I agree with him on. Some of the things that he wrote, I don't quite understand what he's saying. Maybe you all can help me. It's a mixed bag. But I want to start out by saying how I appreciate Cody Campbell for writing the letter. I mean, that's good. I don't know. Maybe he felt like he had to do it. Maybe he feels this is the time. Maybe he believes that the SCORE Act is going down in flames. Maybe he wants to pick up the pieces. Life is all about timing, correct? Life is all about timing. Maybe this is the time. So we are going to go through that letter. I would, just to give you a little bit of a hint, and I've already given you a little bit of a hint. There's some things that I agreed with, some things I'm glad he said, some things I want more of an explanation. Couple of things he said in there. A couple of things he said. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to take it. I don't know if he's being serious or if he's a couple of items. One in particular that really has got me like, what is Cody Campbell's plan? Because there's one part of this. Let me give you another little bit of a hint. If Cody Campbell, the billionaire, very impressive gentleman, not a loser like your re-elected mayor here of Loserville City, if he was in the studio today, if he was sitting right here, my first question to Cody Campbell would be, Mr. Campbell, this thing, this governing body, this new governing body, which is going to get the antitrust exemption, Cody Campbell said in his letter today that yes, college sports needs an antitrust exemption. He said it. He said he doesn't want the NCAA to get it. So my question would be, and we're going to go through the whole letter, but my first question would be, who exactly is going to appoint the people in this governing body? This new governing body. Who do you want to have the power to appoint this new governing body? Because that answer to that one particular question, I think would answer a lot of what exactly is Cody Campbell's plan to save college sports. So we are going to go through the letter. Before we go through the letter, we're going to talk a little bit about Virginia Tech Hokies. Now, we are not going to produce the Virginia Tech's Hotboard 1.0 today. We're not going to do it. We are not going to produce UCLA Hotboard 1.0 today. Hotboard list for the head coach. We are going to do that tomorrow. I promise you. Tomorrow, the two Hotboard lists are going to be listed. And you know how we do this here at Peek Around the Corner. We do not give a list of 8 names, of 10 names, of 7 names, of 5 names, of 4 names. The longest list that we will give to you all are 3 names. Because a list of 10 names, I don't think that really, I don't really think that gives you guys any information on how I perceive things. 10 names is too loosey-goosey. So we are going to give you 3 names. Or up to 3 names. Sometimes we only give 1 name. A lot of times we've only given 1 name. So we are going to do that tomorrow. But I am going to, today we're going to talk about Shane Beamer. Is he really going to be on the Virginia Tech Hokies candidates list? Now, there is a report, we're going to go through it today, that Shane Beamer, the head coach of South Carolina, the son of the famous, legendary Frank Beamer of Virginia Tech fame, there is a report that Shane Beamer will no doubt be on Virginia Tech's candidates list. Maybe not supported by all the boosters, but some of the boosters. So the question is, if Shane Beamer is going to be on the is he going to be on the candidates list? one of the candidates that Virginia Tech will reach out to. Do you believe PATC family? Do you believe Shane Beamer would be interested? We are going to go through the report. And then I'm going to give you my opinion on it. And that will probably give you a big hint and a wink on where we are going for tomorrow's Virginia Tech Hot Board 1.0. So, anyways, that is the show. Virginia Tech, and then we're going to talk about this letter because I am very thankful. While I might not agree on everything, or maybe I will, with Cody Campbell, I'm very thankful that he wrote the letter. And we will go over it here in a moment. Super chat. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. What do we got here? UNC Road Dogs. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina with an upset by James Taylor. You all play UCF, right? UCF? Is that correct? What is the line for that game? By the way, Preston from Greensboro, I already sang that song. Do you know that? I already sang In My Mind, I'm Going to Carolina about 8 minutes before the North Carolina TCU kickoff. 8 minutes before kickoff on that night, I did sing the song. First of all, I want to make sure that you know that. Second of all, do you really want me to sing the same song again? Because in the places that I was off tune, I'm not going to be on tune. It's going to be the same performance. Okay. I already sang that song. Now, I will take it if we come out officially tomorrow. If North Carolina is the underdog, I will take it. I will do it, but do you want to switch songs? Do you want me to do the North Carolina fight song, for example? Let me know in the chat room. But yeah, you want to, Preston from Greensboro, you're going to want to go back to that watch party 8 minutes before kickoff. I did sing the song. All right, I'll do the fight song. All right, Preston from Greensboro, you are on. It is a done deal as long as North Carolina is the underdog tomorrow. And we'll take a look at that line tomorrow. So thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate all your generosity. Thank you so very much. Now, after you listen to my version of James Taylor's In My Mind, you might want to rescind the offer. You might say, well, Greg, you were so bad. You were so bad that Monday night UNC TCU performance. You were as bad as North Carolina's performance, Greg. You might rescind the offer. And I would not blame you. But go listen to it first. Thank you, Preston from Greensboro. Let's do a quick roll call. James Foster is in the house. Charlie Atwood is here. The Florida man, MBM Gene Calderon, the Baylor Bears. Preston from Greensboro's in the house. 21 Buckets, 21. The Osceola Trucker. George Holton. Hello, fellow sickos. The Big Gun Shop. Steel Austin. The Almighty Finn. Dave B. Steel Austin. Kalani Sitaki, is he going to be a candidate for UCLA head coaching job? We are going to talk about it tomorrow. We are going to talk about it tomorrow. We are going to talk about it tomorrow. The almighty Finn, I told you Greg Cal would beat Minnesota. Great game, Greg. Rematch in 28. Vox Quindaro is in the house. Good afternoon, Flagariites. Morris Simmons is here. Toast is here. Carlton Hurdle is in the house. The Frogs are taking back the skillet this week. Go Frogs. The Buckshot Kid. Kay's in the house. Kay, I did sing at the beginning of yesterday's live show. I did sing Country Roads because West Virginia upsetted Pittsburgh. So I had to do a song. Nick Boardman is up in the house. We're going to be talking about his Virginia Tech Hokies in a moment. I'm interested to see what Nick has to say. Alani Ted is here. Which opening is the better situation? UCLA with money troubles, little fan buy-in, but in the Big Ten, or Virginia Tech with a much better fan buy-in, but with the volatile ACC? Great question. I really don't have an answer because the UCLA thing is going to be way more difficult. Because Illini Ted, as we all know, we don't know the level of commitment that UCLA is willing to go. Virginia Tech is Virginia Tech, while they own money issues, like most of us, like Babcock talked about, whatever they've got, they're gonna put their foot on the gas pedal. Whatever they can do, Virginia Tech is all in. UCLA could probably do a whole lot more, but are they really all in? Ever? So that is a great question. Great question. Nick Boardman, thank God Pry is gone. Chris Kenny, did I not tell you Northwestern would cover? All right, guys, thanks for coming on in. El Woody, Steel Austin, Edward the Auburn Tiger, Ryan Brooks, Christopher Hooter, Adam is in the house. Go Black 45. Go Black 45. Okay, let's go here. Yeah, but we're not $200 million in the hole. I doubt if the athletic department ever has to pay that $200 million back to the UCLA University. So, anyways, let's go on here. Let's talk Virginia Tech first. Brad Crawford, CBS Sports, sorting through Virginia Tech's interest in Shane Beamer. Would South Carolina coach leave for the alma mater? His family name is synonymous with uncharted football success at Virginia Tech. One would assume the question was coming for Shane Beamer. South Carolina's coach was immediately mentioned as a top-end candidate for the Hokies, following Sunday's firing of Brent Pry amid Virginia Tech's 0-3 start. 2 weeks after taking the microphone inside Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium after beating Virginia Tech to open the season and pledging his allegiance to the Gamecocks fan base who made the trip, Beamer was talking again. This time, he was not really interested in addressing speculation concerning reports of being a potential target at his alma mater. I think the week of the Virginia Tech game, I told everyone how I feel about South Carolina and my love for this place. Beamer said during a Sunday teleconference. That's where my focus is right now. What was that? Shane Beamer. That's where my focus is right now. Getting our football team better because I don't like where we are right now, and that's my responsibility. Boy, that's a different way of answering. That's a different way of answering than what he had when South Carolina just defeated Virginia Tech. Nick Boardman, Shane has no interest in Tech. He said that only Coach Beamer in Blacksburg is Frank Beamer. All right, Nick Boardman has spoken. The Hokie PATC family member. Industry sources have beaten the Beamer to Virginia Tech drum for years, tying his name to the Hokies every time the job is open since Father Frank Beamer's retirement after the 2015 season. CBS Sports reached out to a source close to South Carolina immediately after Pry's firing and asked about Beamer. He isn't going back there unless the Gamecock fans turn on him, which could happen, the source said, noting Beamer still believes he can bring an SEC championship to South Carolina. So a source close to South Carolina said he ain't going back there unless the Gamecock fans turn on him. Virginia Tech's last two hires have failed quickly, and Beamer was a top-end candidate before Pry was picked to lead in November of 21. That was 4 years ago. Following Beamer's first season with the Gamecocks, and at the time, he admitted his attachment to the Hokies. Obviously, I love Virginia Tech. I moved there when I was 10 years old, Beamer said in 2021, before reaffirming his commitment to South Carolina. I have special memories of my time in Blacksburg, and it will always be special to me, but this is where I want to be. When I said this was my dream job, I wasn't just saying that to sound cool in a press conference. After leading the Gamecocks to 9 wins last fall, Beamer inked an extension and raised ahead of the 2025 season that pays him $8.1 million annually. Nearly 40% more than what Pry was getting at Virginia Tech. Beamer's contract includes a $5 million buyout if he leaves South Carolina in the first year, then drops by $1 million each year of the contract. That's an interesting choice of words to say at the least. Never say right. This is going back when Beamer said, not right now. Not right now. The source was confident Beamer would not leave the SEC for the mid-tier ACC program and mentioned how much his family enjoyed Columbia and living in the Palmetto State. Beamer was recently retired AD Ray Tanner's unexpected hire to lead after Will Muschamp firing in 2020 as the Gamecocks plucked their former staffer while he was working at Oklahoma. He has recorded more wins over his first 4 seasons than Steve Spurrier's previous program high, and has helped the Gamecocks recruiting efforts reach new highs in recent years. But what about Frank Beamer's messy exit? Not forgotten. Beamer's father announced his retirement at Virginia Tech in 2015. Prior to the end of the season, which was not the original plan, a source confirmed to CBS Sports. There was friction there between the Hokies administration and the Beamer family after the longtime coach in the winningest in program history was told before the season that the 2015 campaign would be his last. The decision was handed down to Frank, as one source put it. Following Frank Beamer's retirement, the Hokies went with then Memphis hotshot Justin Fuente, who last 6 seasons with mixed results in Blacksburg. Shane Beamer, despite walking on at Virginia Tech as a player and later coaching under his father from 2011 through 2015 season, was not viewed as a serious candidate during that search, despite having a great relationship with the players. And Beamer keeps the receipts. Shane's not coming back to Virginia Tech as long as Whit Babcock is the athletic director. One source with knowledge of the search told CBS Sports on Monday. Babcock, who has served in the Hokies athletic director position since 2014, will assist and help with the search, but only in a supportive role. The Hokies donors are mixed on Beamer. Thanks to one of the most generous donor bases in the ACC, Virginia Tech's leading boosters are expected to have a say in the program's next hire. The Hokies have appeared in the ACC title game only once since Frank Beamer's retirement and have finished 500 or worse 6 times. This group, this generous donor base, this group wants to get back to competing at a national level and demands it happens now after years of lackluster results. And finally in the article, part of the donor base is so frustrated. They want to rip everything up from the studs. VT Scoop's Colby Crawford told CBS Sports. The last thing you want is the fan base thinking you're just keeping the old guard. But there's also donors who want to bring Shane home. Crawford said Beamer is 100% on Virginia Tech's list and expects his representation, Shane Beamer's agent, to receive a call from the Hokies search committee. So the question is, when Shane Beamer's agent picks up the phone, and Whit Babcock is probably not going to be on the other end of the line, right? But it is going to be somebody representing that group that's going to engineer the search for the new head coach for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Shane Beamer's agent is going to pick up the phone. He's going to hear somebody representing Virginia Tech, and the question is going to be asked the agent, is Shane Beamer your client? Is he interested in being a part of the search for the position of the head coaching position at Virginia Tech? Is he willing to put his name as part of the search and we will interview him and da-da-da-da-da? What do you think? What do you believe the agent is going to say to Virginia Tech search committee? And we are going to make the poll right now. Does Shane Beamer's agent say yes to Virginia Tech asking him to be on their candidates list. If you vote yes, you're saying the agent says yes. Shane Beamer wants to be a part of your search. He wants to be a part of your candidates list. If you vote no, that's obviously the agent's telling Virginia Tech no. The voting begins now. We're not saying, this is not a question of, is Shane Beamer going to say yes to the job? This is a question of, is Shane Beamer willing to be part of the process early on? We're not talking about Shane Beamer saying yes or no. We're talking about, is he going to be saying yes to be part of Virginia Tech's candidates list? So you're not saying that Beamer's definitely going to not be the coach, definitely going to be the coach. Am I interested in being part of the candidates list? We are going to give everybody 5 more seconds to vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 55% says no. All right. 55% of you don't even think Shane Beamer would even be interested enough to be on the candidates list. Very interesting. Now, Preston from Greensboro says, of course he wants to be on the list to get a raise from South Carolina. Now, he just got a raise from South Carolina, right? $8.1 million. South Carolina has more money than Virginia Tech. They have more money for coaching. The coaching pool salary for his staff, South Carolina's got more money. Unless Virginia Tech boosters say, okay, we're all in on Shane Beamer. But I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm just going to throw it out there. Christopher Hooter says one doesn't entertain the ACC when they have an SEC gig. That is true, but I'm just going to throw this out there. I agree with Christopher Hooter. Unless maybe it's a Vanderbilt job, but even Charlie Lee's doing an incredible job there. Let me throw this out there, though. Sometimes you take the next job before you become too unpopular with your current job. Now, Shane Beamer had a very good year last year. South Carolina went above expectations, right? They won 9 games. They were so close to making the playoffs. They got Lenore Sellers. They got Nick Harbor. They've got Stewart, the great defensive end. They've got dudes on that team. However, expectations in Columbia, South Carolina, it went up this year. And for good reason. And their standards went up this year. For good reason. They just gave the guy a raise. In South Carolina, and I say this every year about the Gamecocks. For whatever reason, even though they have dudes, even though their recruiting rankings keep going upwards, even though they won 9 games, they can't block anybody. They can't block anybody. I would love, again, I could not put South Carolina in the playoffs this year because they can't block anybody. They're getting annihilated on the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line, once again, is, in my opinion, is extremely poor. I don't even, Lenore Sellers is expected to be back this Saturday. Okay. Do you think Lenore Sellers feels comfortable in there? You got offensive coordinator Mike Shula trying to make Lenore Sellers a pocket passer. It don't even matter because his line is getting destroyed. What if South Carolina goes pear-shaped here? What if it goes really bad this year? Shane Beamer's not going to get fired. He ain't going to get fired. No. If they go 2-10, 3-9, 4-8, 5, Shane Beamer's not going to get fired after the year that he had last year. But sometimes you want to stay one step ahead of the posse. And if the posse is coming for Shane Beamer after this year, then maybe, just maybe, he becomes the Prince of Blacksburg and the king is retired. The king can sit on his throne, watch over the prince. People are going to be excited. Can Shane Beamer come back home again? Much like Scott Frost, much like Rich Rod. It's a little bit different because Shane Beamer was not a head coach of Virginia Tech. You're going to have nostalgia. You're going to have juice. You're going to have a lot of fans excited. That is what I'm thinking about all these things. Again, I'm not going to put out a hot board list today. We're going to do that tomorrow. I don't know. I would have voted, 55% of you voted no, that Shane Beamer's agent, directed by Shane Beamer, would say no to Virginia Tech. We don't want to be on your candidates list. I would have voted yes. Not to say that Shane Beamer would have any interest, not to say that Virginia Tech would not be able to pay him enough, whatever, all these issues that are involved in this. I do think that the agent would probably say, go ahead, put it on the list, as long as it doesn't get out, because if it gets out, then we're going to deny it. Things like that. Taylor Mott, it's not complicated. Just hire a young, energetic, up-and-coming coach who knows how to recruit the region. What about the head coach at the University of South Florida? They could be a great fit. What about the head coach of Memphis? He could be on the list. He could also be on the UCLA list. As the saying goes, Grayson Ganoush, Shane Beamer would find out you can't go home again. Illini Ted, do they try to get someone early or wait it out? More probably higher profile jobs will surely open up, so they may lose out and depending on who they target. That is a great comment. I think it's pretty obvious to me that Virginia Tech wanted to get in the coaching carousel really early. Because as that spins around, the longer it spins, other jobs are going to open. This is the time for Virginia Tech to reach out to agents and say, is your client interested? Is your client interested? Is your client interested? Proceed with speed before those other openings come up. Because that is your great advantage. For entering the coaching carousel early, that is your great advantage. So you got to take advantage of it. You got to put your foot on the gas pedal and go, reach out to agents. It's already happening. No question about it. How about Jimbo Fisher? Very interesting, Florida man. Very, very, very interesting. Go Black 45, Virginia Tech needs to step away from the Beamer era. Schools usually put themselves behind the 8 ball trying to worry about finding past ties. Good comment, Go Black 45. Good comment. John Gruden, he wants back in. Rowan Phillips, you're correct. You are correct. MH5, Shane Beamer's agent needs to leverage this situation for his client. See about upping that contract. Well, they already did it, though. They just did it. They just upped the contract. I don't know how successful the agent's going to be. In addition, there's a 30-day portal open for teams whose coach has been dismissed. So we got a 30-day opening portal for Texas Tech players and UCLA players. So does that mean that Nico, I'm leaving on a jet plane, is he going to put his name back in the portal? Is Nico going to put his name back in the portal? Is Nico going to put his name back in the 30-day portal? Yes or no? King explained Virginia Tech is an athletic disadvantage compared to South Carolina. So I don't think any SEC coach will leave for the ACC that may be in shambles 2 to 3 years from now. All right, I'm going to give you 5 more seconds on the vote. Is Nico going to put his name back into the 30-day portal? We're talking about Nico, I'm leaving on a jet plane, the current UCLA Bruins starting quarterback. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 67% says yes. 67% of you said yes. Holy smokes, guys. You don't trust that Nico is going to stay at UCLA? Work under their interim head coach? Get ready for the new coach?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Jansen Roberts, shame is staying in South Carolina. He might as well. Bruins are a mess. The architect. Can UCLA get any worse? We're about to find out. All right, now let's get into the Cody Campbell. All right. Again, I appreciate Cody Campbell. I appreciate him for sending this letter. I thank him very much. Let's go through it together. Cody Campbell. The moment to save college sports is here. Congress must act now because of its governing structure. The NCAA is too conflicted to put the student athletes first and to represent the interests of its entire membership. With college football, again, this is Cody Campbell's letter. I will give you my thoughts during the letter. I will give it to you after the letter, and then I will get your thoughts, super chats first. Then we'll go to phone calls. Let's get it on here. Cody Campbell, a letter for everybody to read. The USA Today. This is Cody Campbell's letter. He is speaking. With college football and fall sports back, I am reminded of what a special time of the year it is for student athletes who have sacrificed so much for this moment, and classmates, alumni, and fans who passionately cheer them on. Stadiums spread across every community in the nation are filled with excitement, providing hope for students and creating an economic boom for large and small college towns. Sadly, behind the scenes, the system is broken. Correct. With these programs facing a historic financial strain. Correct. That has led to cutting women's and Olympic sports just for athletic departments to stay in business. They also kept men's sports. There is a Title IX aspect to this. But this is just the beginning of a downward spiral that will lead to the destruction of college sports. Again, Cody Campbell's words. As Congress returns from August recess, it is a historic opportunity to end this strain and put the system back together. Currently, the U.S. House of Representatives is fast-tracking a very narrow bill via the Student Compensation and Opportunity through Rights and Endorsements, the SCORE Act. The SCORE Act is a good starting point, for some of the key elements of this discussion, and it is encouraging that this issue is finally gaining traction in Washington. However, as the legislation is currently drafted, it does not achieve President Trump's clearly stated objectives of saving women's sports, protecting Olympic sports, and looking out for the interests of the smaller schools. The president and the American public, over 85% of them, as shown in recent polling, feel strongly that all of college sports and all of schools continue to provide the opportunity to the 500,000 student athletes that they do today. After years of studying this problem, we know Congress will need a comprehensive solution that not only addresses the splashy items such as NIL and the transfer portal, but also tackles massive issues of the need for the new independent body to oversee college athletics, addresses carnivorous revenue shortfalls of all college programs, big and small, are facing, and for the first time in the history of college sports, provide student athletes with a meaningful voice in how rules are made and enforced. All right, let me go back here. Cody Campbell, for a new independent body to oversee collegiate athletes. We have a need for a new independent body to oversee collegiate athletes. I'm going to talk about this again because I think this is at the heart of Cody Campbell's plan. But I don't have the details. I'm going to be honest with you. What is this independent body? Who is appointing this independent body? Who does the independent body report to? Because if an independent body, okay, I'm going to get back to it at the end of the article. But to me, this is the heart and soul of my questions to Cody Campbell and anybody else. Cody Campbell does not like the NCAA. Well, I mean, that's fine. But what is this independent body? We have said it before and we'll say it again. Again, this is Cody Campbell, letter to USA Today. We need a new governing body to accomplish this goal. It cannot be the NCAA, which for years fought tooth and nail against any rule that would benefit student athletes and protect the most vulnerable schools and sports. The NCAA is now lobbying Congress and the public for the ability to override the multitude of court cases that they have lost, so it can retake control of the rulemaking and crack down on athletes in the schools. This is my second question. To all due respect to Cody Campbell, and I love that he wrote this letter. My first question was, who is this new independent body that you want, Cody Campbell? Who's appointing this? Who is appointing this governing body? Who does it report to? My next questions are, who do you think created the NCAA? Who do you think the NCAA reports to? And if the answer is same for my first set of questions and my second set of questions, then it's the same boss. It's the same power. So basically all you're doing is erasing the words NCAA and you're replacing it with what? What do you want to call it? The Save Sports organization, if you want to call it that. I'm going to get back to this in a moment. Of course the NCAA wants to regain power. Who are you giving the power to, Cody? Again, that doesn't get answered in this letter. Of course the NCAA wants to regain power. Of course it wants to go back to raking in billions at the expense of the student athletes and the schools it is ostensibly charged to represent. The NCAA's version of the SCORE Act ensures that the powerful colleges stay powerful and regulates the lesser advantaged schools to permanent irrelevance. The SCORE Act also does not address the fact that there will not be enough money to pay for sports like track, swimming, volleyball, soccer, and softball. Through sneaky and strategic drafting, the SCORE Act does not explicitly grant the NCAA direct power, but the implications are clear. They will regain control if this bill becomes law. It's not the NCAA that has the power. It's not the NCAA that has the power. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the conferences. It's the presidents. The NCAA was created by the presidents. They've just had governance votes. They're doing all this stuff, but it's under the guy. It's the College Sports Commission. It's again, I'll get back to it at the end of the article. Language should be added to the bill that allows the entire college sports system to come together and form a new governing body that represents everyone. So, the entire sports system is going to come together and form a new governing body. Okay, he's answered the question. But that's already happened. Basically, all you're trading is the name of the body. You don't want to call it the NCAA anymore. Don't call it that. Call it something else. Call it the fat guy from Minnesota body. Call it whatever you want. Call it the Cody Campbell body. But it's going to be the same thing. Look, all these colleges, these universities, they've gone together. There's different divisions. There's cooperation. There are battles going on politically. Adam says the NCAA cannot have the power back. Okay, give it to another body. But who's going to appoint these people? It's going to be the same people that appointed the NCAA. All you're doing is trading out straight noodles for elbow noodles. That's all you're doing. It's going to taste the same. The same people are pouring the noodles into the boiling pot of water. You're going to put it in the strainer, and then you're going to put your tomato sauce on it. And no, if you add meat, you can't put cheese in there. My point is, okay, you don't want the NCAA. Okay, who do you want? Because whoever that is, it's going to be the same people appointing them. Unless Cody has a different plan. Now, he did say up here, language should be added to the bill that allows the entire college sports system to come together and form a new governing body. All right, go ahead. Let's do it. Let's erase the word NCAA from every book, every building. Let's rip it apart. Okay, now let's build it up again. And guess what you're going to have? The NCAA reports to the presidents. It's the presidents that form the rules. It's the presidents that fund the NCAA. It's the presidents that give the NCAA direction. It's not the other way around. The NCAA, as much as everybody dislikes the NCAA, it's not like they're a group of people that drink a certain water that makes them all evil. And if we just get rid of them, if we bring a new group of people in, it's going to be happy days are here again. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. No. That's not what that's not reality. It's not reality. Again, Christopher Hooter, you'll have the NCAA under another name. Exactly correct. Christopher Hooter said in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he used only 7 words, in which I've already used 5,000 words to try to explain it. Unless Cody's got a different plan, which we'll get into in a moment here. We're not even at the most interesting part of this. We're not even at the most interesting part of this. The new governing body will be especially necessary if Congress were to make the economically necessary move to modernize the sports broadcasting, a law that was written in 1961. A lot has changed since. With the rights under this act, we will need smart and savvy media minds that can create the value necessary to make sure that all sports continue to be funded and that revenue is fairly allocated. So, part of this new governing body is going to be people in the media. People in media, people in that used to work for Fox and ESPN, they're going to be part of this governing body. Interesting. And it's going to be fairly allocated. The revenue is going to be fairly allocated. Fairly. That word is very interesting. Fairly. And not by what type of measurement is fair? What? Doing this would open up a massive spigot of revenue. That will solve many of the critical problems facing college sports today and will keep the enterprise in business. Got it. So we're going to fill up this new governing body with these immediate people, and we're all going to clap hands together, and we're all going to negotiate under one umbrella, and the spigot is going to be wide open, and everyone's going to be happy. Everyone's going to get paid. It's going to be a big kumbaya moment. This is the PATC money shot of the article. Here is the PATC money shot of the article. An antitrust exemption is necessary to allow fair rules to be made and enforced and to stop the disruption onslaught of litigation, but providing an antitrust exemption is a huge legal concession that vests a tremendous amount of power and should not be given without the utmost thoughts, care, and intentionality. We cannot trust the NCAA with this level of power. The NCAA has proven for decades it cannot effectively manage such authority. Giving them this power will allow a return to their old ways and roll back the progress student athletes have fought for, shielding the entity from lawsuits and allow them to resort to their collusive practices. The NCAA is a voluntary membership organization that is funded by revenue generated by all of its member institutions, and it now is almost completely controlled by the biggest and most powerful schools. Power 4 schools now it gets 60% of the votes because of its governing structure. The NCAA is too conflicted to put student athletes first and to represent the interests of its entire membership. Wow. So, look, and I think it's obvious that Cody Campbell is answering my questions, and I thank him for that. He wants his governing body to be filled up with media people and to be a wider representation of all the university, everybody under one umbrella, everybody under one umbrella, everybody under one umbrella. This is what Cody Campbell wants. He wants the Super League. That's what he wants. Cody Campbell wants the Super League. Cody Campbell wants everybody to get together and form a Super League. Of course that's what he wants. It's obvious. And not just football, but remember, he wants to save all sports. He wants everything to be negotiated under one umbrella. I got more questions. What happens to the Big Ten Network? Because there's a lot of content on the Big Ten Network. Are you going to put that content with everybody else and that gets negotiated out? What happens to the Big Ten Network? What happens to the SEC Network? What happens to the ACC Network? There's more to this article. Let me show you something else here. Yeah, I don't know where it is. But basically, what he talks about students having a voice. The student athletes should have a voice. They should have somebody representing them. My question is who? I would love a CBA as well. I've given my reasons why I would want a CBA over a carve-out that's trying to be done right now with the SCORE Act. But again, who's going to represent the students? And can a CBA in football be the same CBA in basketball? Can a CBA in the SEC be the same CBA in the ACC? Remember, if you're going to represent the student athletes, if you're going to represent labor, you're going to try to get everything they possibly can for the labor. So to bring other entities into that subgroup, to that group, that who's ever representing labor in that particular moment, that's it. You're disenfranchising certain student athletes. The CBA in this world, is so much more complicated than the professional sports world. If you are going to have a CBA in which you're going to include everybody, we're talking all the non-revenue sports. All right, but just let's all be clear. You're disenfranchising football players. You are. And just to be clear, I mean, at some point, we need to see details of a CBA. Exactly how is this going to work? You want true representation for the student athletes, but are you going to group them all together? How many student athletes are there across the country? You're going to group together all the G5, exactly how is this going to look? Because we're not getting any answers. Chris Kenny. Greg, man, you make a great point. I think Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, Washington, USC to join the SEC for a 22 team. Okay, if that's what they want to do, they can do that. I don't think it's the point you're trying to make, Chris Kenny. I understand what you're doing because people have been doing this for years. That might just happen. But that will be happen because the Buckeyes decide that to happen, because the Michigan decides that to happen, because Penn State decides that to happen. Just like USC decided, just like Oklahoma decided, just like Texas decided, just like how the Big 12 decided to poach the Pac 12. We can go on and on and on and on with this. But to sit here and say, suddenly the Super League is going to enfranchise everybody equally. No, you're going to be disenfranchising people. It's Cody. When I read this letter, the end result of all of it is a Super League. Now that's okay. So let's talk about a Super League. But let's call it a Super League. That's what I'm trying to get to. Cody Campbell is really talking about a Super League. So say it in your letter. That is my biggest point on all this. He wants a different governing body to have the antitrust exemption. He wants a different governing body. He doesn't want the NCAA. All right. Take the NCAA name off the wall. Who is going to be part of the governing body? Who gets to appoint them? Who gets to appoint them? Everybody? Every school? All 136 schools? The media companies? Because he's basically said there should be savvy, really smart people. When it comes to media, they should be in the governing body. Is the governing body going to be doing the negotiations? That is what Cody Campbell's saying. Remember, Cody Campbell wants the 1961 Broadcasting Act. He wants everybody to be able to pool their content together. Negotiate as one. Who's going to do the negotiation? It ain't going to be Greg Sankey. It ain't going to be Tony Petitti. It ain't going to be Phillips. It ain't going to be Yarmark. It ain't going to be Pernetti. It's not going to be It's not going to be any of the commissioners. It's going to be this body. This body who's going to be ruling over college sports. There's going to be media people in there. It's going to represent everybody. They are going to get the antitrust exemption. That is what Cody Campbell's saying. Interesting. Cody Campbell wants everybody to get together, to come together, to save college sports. Cody Campbell just accused Greg Sankey of bullying. In a letter that I read, and I didn't see any, and I always take shots at Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti. I've been taking shots at Yarmark lately. I did not see any bullying in that letter. In public, Cody Campbell took a shot at Greg Sankey. But yet now he wants everybody to come together. This, ladies and gentlemen, what I am most concerned with, I get it. Cody Campbell is representing a lot of people's interests, not just his own. And there is pushback back on him. But I don't want to see a breakaway. I don't want to see it. It would be horrific. Absolutely horrific. But Cody Campbell basically wants to rearrange everything. He wants his Super League. He won't say the word, but that is what he's describing. What is a Super League? What is a Super League under Cody Campbell's vision? No more conferences? We're going to go, what? 7 different divisions of 10 teams? They're all going to be making the same money? Who's going to be playing who? Is that all up to this governing body? We're not going to have any commissioners anymore. The president's voices will not be allowed anymore. Just this governing body filled with media people. Are we going to turn these athletic departments into franchises? Is that what we're doing? franchises owned by, I don't know, billionaires? I am getting really nervous about all this because the chatter behind the curtain, and I'm not talking the chatter behind the curtain by media people because they're not, a lot of them agree with Cody Campbell. So they don't want to, they don't want to, ruin their access, whatever. But there is a voice out there, the chatter behind the curtain, coming from Big Ten and SEC country. I do not like the sound of that. I do not like the sound of the SEC and the Big Ten. I do not agree. I do not like the sound of that chatter. About 3 months ago, I did a live show and I basically said the Big Ten is at war. It feels like they're at war, that everyone's coming at them. Everyone's trying to rip the Big Ten apart. The Big Ten has helped rip other conferences apart. But in this case, and I'm just going to tell you what the people's perception is. You can take it however you want it, but people in the Big Ten are thinking, well, but those schools decided. But it almost feels like the decision is, they're trying to take the power out of the schools and the presidents and athletic directors' hands. The power is going somewhere else. An independent governing body. That is what Cody Campbell described it. Independent from whom? Independent governing body. Independent from whom? From the schools? From the conferences? Oh, there are not going to be any conferences, right? Right? I mean, that's basically, am I being unfair? Again, at the start of this live show, I'm very happy that Cody Campbell wrote this letter because I wanted details. We got some, and it all leads to a Super League. All of it. There's no word of there's no word. It's an independent governing body. He says we cannot trust the NCAA, which I'm sure he knows. Hopefully he knows the NCAA was created, implemented, directed, and funded by the presidents. He says we cannot give a governing body the NCAA antitrust exemption. We got to give it to an independent governing body. My first question, as I said at the beginning of this live show, who is appointing this independent governing body? Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? Who funds it? Is it the government that funds it? No longer the schools? Because when the schools funded it, of course they could have direction. They could have say in it. The bigger schools gave more money, by the way. Who is appointing this independent governing body? Who is paying for this governing body? Who's appointing it? Is it somebody who's got the ear of President Trump? Is it going to be the fat guy from Minnesota? The presidents are not going to have a voice? The commissioners, they're completely eliminated? The conference networks are eliminated? Sounds like a Super League. Sounds like a Super League to me. Flugar, if you haven't noticed, the SEC and the Big Ten are already in the Super Leagues with the majority of power. Okay, let me answer that comment. So all these conferences, they got together, they came up with this governance, right? This new governance. And if the 4 conferences agreed with each other, the 4 autonomy conferences, they would have 65% of the vote. Right? And if one of the conferences did not agree with the other 3 conferences, then the smaller conferences' votes would tilt the advantage one way or the other on certain items. We have an issue. It's called the portal. When is it going to be? When are you going to put that portal in? The Big Ten doesn't want it in January. They think it's a stupid idea. They think it's dumb. How can you put a portal in during the semifinals and the championship game? But the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12, they're once again all in alignment, and they got support of the smaller conferences. That's where they want to put the portal, and it sounds like it's going to happen. It's been voted through by one level of the governance. It's going to become official. So the vote went against the Big Ten. The Big Ten ain't going to get their way on that. Per the governance rules. Per all these schools, all these conferences coming together and figuring out what their governance was going to be. Not done by an independent governing body appointed by who we do not know, funded who we do not know, directed by who we do not know. That's my problem with this. Do I like every rule that the NCAA gets directed on by the presidents? No. Do I like the fact that the student athletes were disallowed from getting name, image, and likeness number money for decades? No. No. So many things, no. Some things I've agreed with the presidents and the NCAA and their implementation of it. But now we're going to get this new independent governing body. Independent from whom? That would be my second question to Cody Campbell. Who are you putting space in between this governing body? If you read, I should not say that. Let me put it this way. Go ahead and read the letter. And then read it again and think about how Cody Campbell would write it if he would want it Super League. And it just pops. The whole thing just says Super League. If you are for a Super League, that's cool, that's fine. Go for it. But that's how you should call it. That's how you should describe it. And then when you talk about a Super League, how many teams are going to be in your Super League? Is it going to be more than 70? Remember, we got to save everybody, right? So in this new independent governing body who's going to have the smartest people, do you know, if you go back and read the Rudy Project, go back and read the Rudy Project. Go back and read those plans. A lot of people that support Cody Campbell's vision support the Rudy Project. It's not by accident. Go read the Rudy Project. It was going to have all these billions of dollars, right, being pushed in by private equity, all right? And what is one of the things that this Rudy Project was going to do? It was going to eliminate all games played by these 70 schools against anybody below those 70 schools. Go ahead, Google it, read it. And the reason for it is, this is how we were going to juice our media money. We were all going to come together, these 70 schools, negotiate as one, and one of the selling points is we were going to tell the media companies we are no longer going to play Liberty, Western Michigan, Central Michigan, James Madison. That was the selling point of the Rudy Project. of the Super League. To cut the legs out from anybody underneath the 70 teams. Is that saving all the sports? Now, I am not saying that the Cody Campbell plan is the Rudy Project plan. I'm not saying that at all because Cody Campbell hasn't said it. Maybe Cody Campbell is for conferences. He won't really say it, though. Maybe he's okay with the Big Ten still being the Big Ten, the SEC still being the SEC, the Big 12, but he won't say it. I haven't heard him say it. So if he is for all that, then my next question is, okay, but now you want to bundle everything up together, all the content, and sell it as one. So what happens to the Big Ten Network? What happens to the SEC Network? What happens to the ACC Network? What happens to all that money that the Big Ten schools invested in the Big Ten Network? Does that just disappear? It's all gone. It's worthless. They're not going to get any equity. They all own a piece of that network. Every Big Ten school owns a piece of that network. They all put a whole bunch of money into it. Where does all that money go? Does the independent governing body decide all these things? What about the Olympic sports that make money? What about the Olympic sports in which the student athletes are actually going to get a rev share? Because there are those sports around. Are they going to be treated differently, the same as the other Olympic sports? And then we go back to the CBA. You want representation for labor. I agree. But I don't have the answers. Because it is so incredibly complicated. And I'm not getting an answer from any. You know, I have written emails. I have been on, I'm not going to go through what I've done. I can't get an answer from anybody. Nobody. If any of you have anybody saying an authority, any institution, if anybody's spelling out what their CBA plan is for college sports, can you send it my way because I can't get an answer? The House lawyers in the NCAA versus the House lawyers represented the student athletes. Now, it wasn't the way we all wanted it. It wasn't. A representative of the student athletes coming off a civil case is a terrible way to do it. But it happened. And there were deals made. And this year, the student athletes are making more money than they've ever made before. Thank God. And it all happened because these schools did come together. And they did finalize the settlement with the House lawyers. And they created a sports commission. And they created the Deloitte Clearinghouse. And they created the Rev Share. These conferences and schools actually did come together. And this is their creation. And to be able to stay at $2.8 billion in back pay and not go to $20 billion in back pay, they're trying to get this thing codified. And Cody Campbell, you don't want it codified. All right. You don't want it codified. All right. A lot of people agree with you, by the way. If this doesn't get codified, and if we do not get your independent governing body, whatever that is, who's ever funding that, who's ever appointing those people, if we don't get that, you know what's going to happen? That $2.8 billion is going to go up to $20 billion or more. That all the schools are going to have to pay back on that class action lawsuit. Because the one real thing is the class action lawsuit. The one real thing is that judge. The one real thing is that those lawyers got their thumb over the NCAA and all the conferences and all the schools. And who is going to pay that $20 billion? Who's going to pay that $20 billion? Who's going to pay it? It's going to be the schools. It ain't going to be the billionaires. The billionaires ain't going to write that check. The billionaires, the millionaires, and God love them, they write the NIL checks, but they're not going to write a check out to help these schools pay the back pay. Right? Right? So, not codifying this settlement, it really is no... I better not go down that road. I'll stop there. Okay, let me go through your comments. I know a lot of you disagree with me, and that is fine. I'm just letting everybody know that there's a situation going on. There is a massive push back and forth from all these forces. And we are at DEFCON 2. I've said it, we're at DEFCON 2. We're not at DEFCON 1. But I have explained why we're at DEFCON 2. And this letter is just another evidence of why we're at DEFCON 2. Because there's enough of a force out there to keep all this from getting codified. And on the other side, there's enough force out there to say this Super League ain't no way, no happen. And so what we're going to be left with is a disaster, in my strongly held opinion. All right. Expansion crush, reconstitute their conferences back to 1990. That's their goal. Could you go through the DEFCON tiers and explain the differences? I'm not smart enough. All I know is we're at look. You remember back when... You remember when the Big Ten and the SEC and Notre Dame, they were part of the group, when they were basically threatening everybody to say, look, we need more money on the playoff distribution. We need the power to create the new college football format for 2026 and beyond. Remember all that? Remember all those threats? Well, do you think they just dropped the threats? The threat is that they would break away in 2030, 31. You know how much I'm against that? That's terrible. I think that would be horrific. But I also know that the Big Ten ain't going to abide by no Super League. It's from their perception it is like, what the hell? It is absolutely so. Everything that the Big Ten has done since 1896 does not matter anymore. In other words, what the Big Ten believes and what the SEC believes is Cody Campbell's vision. Basically what it does, it gives his interest all the benefits and none of the risks. While on the other side, the Big Ten and the SEC, they believe they're taking all the risks. And they're not getting any of the benefits. Chris Kenny, I'm pretty sure we already have a disaster. The NCAA in action, the presidents, the university presidents, and the inability to financially reward player, absolutely, led to the House settlement, and now there's a settlement. And there was an agree upon on the rev share. There was agree upon on NIL. There are all these agreements. Everyone did get together. And now there are forces out there that says, well, we need to rip up all this. that we cannot give the antitrust exemption to the NCAA. We need to give it to an independent governing body. My question still stands. Who is this independent governing body? Who are you independent from? The conferences, because they no longer exist? The presidents? Who funds it? Who directs it? Who gets the votes? I mean, basically every single detail is left out once again. All I'm asking, all that I've been asking is give us a detailed plan, because you're about to rip everything up. The settlement is about to go down. We're about to have chaos. What is this plan again? I think, and I could be wrong, I'm open, baby. I'm open. But we're not. I'm glad Cody Campbell's got a voice. I'm glad he's expressing it. I'm glad he wrote this letter. But every interview I've ever listened to him, and I've listened to them all, because you all keep sending me these interviews. And I listen to them. There's no details. Other than the 1961 broad, he doesn't talk about conference. It all lines up as the Super League. If I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong, Cody Campbell. But it all lines up as the Super League with the power in the hands of who? All right. Let's get more comments, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. You can talk about the games of next week. You can talk about Virginia Tech and UCLA, who should be on their hot board list. Let me know. We are going to produce our own hot board 1.0 list for Virginia Tech and for UCLA. Is Shane Beamer going to be on our list? Is Kalani Sitake going to be on UCLA's list? What about Memphis head coach? Is he going to be on either one's list? People talk about South Florida's coach. What about Tulane's head coach? Would he be interested in Virginia Tech? Am I giving too many hints on who's going to be on my hot board list? UCLA needs Dan Mullen. About to have chaos. What's this been for the last 5 years? Well, it has been chaos, no question about it. But the chaos right now is at least contained to a $2.8 billion payback on the class action lawsuit. $2.8 billion. Well, guess what? If this doesn't get codified, if the settlement goes up in smokes because of all the court challenges, that $2.8 billion no longer exists. The judge and the House lawyers can rip up the agreement, and now the class action lawsuit could get bumped up to $15 billion, $20 billion. They've already laid the threat. They've already said it. They've already said it in court. You want to talk chaos? There's a big difference between a $2.8 billion buyback lawsuit versus a 15, 20, 25 billion. There's certain level of chaos. We've gone through a lot of chaos, but if this all gets ripped up, there better be a plan ready to go, and there better be a buy-in from all the big guys out there, because if there's not, that DEFCON 2 is going to go to DEFCON 1, and I'm going to have to get up here, and I'm going to have to go in the studio. You think we nailed the Big 12 poaching the Pac-12? Yeah, we did. Do you think we nailed the USC story? Yeah, we did. Do you think we nailed the Washington-Oregon story? Yeah, we did. And a whole lot of, you think, I'm going to be coming up in the studio and I'm going to be telling everybody, we're at DEFCON 1. We're at DEFCON 1 and the Big Ten and the SEC. They're about to expand and they're about to break away in 2031. Do people really want me to report on all that for the next... I don't. I don't want to do any of that. But we're closer than ever. We're closer than ever. Because right or wrong, these schools, the Goliaths, do not want some independent government body that they don't have a stroke with anymore, filled up with media people, retired media people, that their presidents don't have a vote in, that their conferences get destroyed, that their networks get destroyed. They're not going to abide by it. And then we're going to have a breakaway. We are. And it's going to be horrible. Because I think it's going to be horrific. The last thing I want is a stupid breakaway. But guess what? The Big Ten don't like me. The SEC don't like me. None of you like me. Nobody likes me. But I tell you the honest truth. We are, you know that countdown clock that they put up for nuclear war and global warming and all that stuff. And I'm going to have a DEFCON 1 countdown clock. I am. And it's about 11:45. That's where we're at. We're at about 11:45. When we go to 11:50, 10 minutes before midnight, that is DEFCON 1. We are 5 minutes away from DEFCON 1. Because Ryan Willie, $2 holla, Virginia Tech can have Fickle. Jeez, Ryan Willie. I mean, you were getting so optimistic last week. I was going to be singing on Wisconsin, and you were going to cover the spread, and now it's all downhill. It's all downhill. Virginia Tech can have Fickle. We have another super chat. $2 holla, Mayor McCheese. I like you, Greg. Does that help? Not really, Ryan Thomas, because with a name like Mayor McCheese, no, it doesn't help. Now, if you use a different avatar, your real name or something else, then I would thank you. Thank you, Ryan Thomas. But the phrase Mayor McCheese gets me nervous. But thank you for your generosity. I do appreciate that. Yes, it does help. Yes, it does help. It does help. It does help. MacGyver's doomsday clock is 11:45 as well. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Thank you for the super chat, Expedition Greg, Mr. Buckeye. Yes, Bo Jackson. Looks like Ohio State got themselves a real RB1. I think that was the one piece that was missing. We're going to have to keep watching him. We're going to have to keep seeing how he progresses. But right now, a lot of explosion out of running back Bo Jackson. Thank you, Expedition Greg, for your $5 holla. I do appreciate it. UCLA or Stanford would be wise to go after Jay Hill, BYU's defensive coordinator. He's the reason for BYU's recent success, not Kalani. Well, Utah, I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit. Kalani Sitake was the guy who got Jay Hill. That's part of being a successful head coach, is to get the right coordinators, the ones who can work with them, the ones who can develop players, the one who can recruit. That is one of your, that's one of your duties, to be a successful head coach, to be able to delegate, to have the right guys as defensive coordinator. Look at Marcus Freeman, right? He used to be a great defensive coordinator, very successful head coach. Last year, Notre Dame goes to the championship game, but then he had to replace Al Golden, and he replaced it with who? Chris Ash? And now look at Notre Dame's defense. The responsibility is on Marcus Freeman, not just the defensive coordinator. So the praise should not be just with the defensive coordinator. It's the head coach who put him in that position. So I would say Kalani does have a lot to do with the success of BYU, in my opinion. My opinion. I like you. I may not admit to polite company. Thank you, James C. Appreciate it. Okay, let's open up the phone line so you guys can yell at me. Am I being too tough on everybody? Am I being too over dramatic with my DEF CON 2? I don't think I am, but maybe you think I am. 763-260-1333. Give me a call, 763-260-1333. Remember, on this YouTube channel, this is a national college football YouTube channel. You're going to have to, you've got the floor. You can talk about anything you want in college football. Anything you want in college football. You don't have to talk about what I just talked about. Nope. Breaking news. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. The SEC is hiring an associate commissioner for football. Here is the bio from the Parker search firm site.
From
Tristan Fibes.
Tristan Five, can you hold on for just one moment, please?
Yes, I can.
We got breaking news. Breaking news. Description of the Associate Commissioner for Football. The Associate Commissioner for Football will provide, this is the Southeastern Conference, will provide leadership and oversight for football operations, policy, and stakeholder engagement with the Southeastern Conference. This role serves as the conference primary liaison to head football coaches, football administrators, and national organizations, ensuring alignment with the SEC's mission and responsiveness to the evolving collegiate athletic landscape. Key areas of responsibility include football competition standards, policy advisement or on national governance issues, NIL, transfer policies, college football playoff employment models, enhancement of officiating and scheduling practices, and advancing student athlete welfare and program integrity. The Associated Commissioner of Football for football. Job opening in the Southeastern Conference. No, I will not be applying because they would never hire the fat guy from Minnesota. Tristan Five, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg, thanks for taking my call. I want to start with a quick joke, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Owen.
Owen who?
0-2, and that's what Notre Dame is, baby.
Ah,
Oh, Oh, man, what a wild game. I can't decide if that game was wilder or the Tennessee game was wilder. I mean, they were both just wild, man.
That was great college football. Loved it. And, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to be providing the Heisman watch list going into week 4, and Marcel Reed is going to go on that list. He's going to be one of the top 6. Now, if anybody would have said, Greg, you're going to be putting Marcel Reed on the Heisman watch list going into week 4. This is what's going into week 3. Jeremiah Smith, number 1. He ain't going to be number 1 anymore. He had a great game, by the way, but he's just not going to be number 1. He's just not going to be there. John Mateer, Carson Beck, both going to be there. Drew Al is not going to be on that list anymore. There's going to be Marcel Reed. Wow, what an incredible performance. I apologize for rambling on. Go ahead, Tristan.
Oh, no, I enjoyed your commentary. Hey, listen, I picked Tennessee to beat Georgia. I still feel like they should have won that game. Now, it was unfair of you to skew the game in favor of Tennessee the way you did. Had I known you were going to do that, I would have switched my pick.
What Tristan is talking about, if you were joining us at the watch party, Tennessee Georgia watch party, when it was 38-38 and Tennessee was lining up for a field goal, I went up on the chalkboard and I erased the 38 for Tennessee and I put up a 41. And I was telling everybody, look, Tennessee's going to win. They're going to kick this field goal and they're going to win. But then I also said, but I'm Greg the Cooler and I'm freezing right now. So we all know he's going to miss it and the kicker missed it. So, yes, go ahead, Tristan. It was a great moment, but go ahead.
It was a great moment. It really was. Hey, listen, though, in all seriousness, Gunnar Stockton, played a lot better. I thought he was a big question mark going into that game. Now, they are trying to use him in a very similar manner that they were using Stetson Bennett a few years ago.
Yeah.
And, Greg, I just feel like with his, he's passing the ball really well. He played great against Tennessee. But, man, he's not going to survive the season if he's taking hits like that.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Yeah. They're using him. Yes, his usage is very, very high. No question about it.
And the other thing, too, Greg, and this really stands out to me, Georgia's defense just looked like it was a step slow. I don't even remember them making any really good plays during the game. I mean, I know they had an interception or two, but they weren't putting consistent pressure on Tennessee's quarterback. And I just feel like the defense that Georgia, that's usually their calling card, right? That's what they've been able to hang their hat on and say, hey, we have a great defense. I don't think this offense, as good as it looked against Tennessee, is going to be able to carry the team, man. If the defense doesn't play well, Greg, they're not going to make it very far this year.
Yeah, I agree, but I got a button there. I think let's wait. Who does Georgia play next?
Well, it's Alabama in 2 weeks. And this upcoming week might be an off week, or okay. I actually don't even really know.
Okay, it's just that Tennessee's offense, when it is going, when it is revving up, when it's flying, and Aguilar was making very good throws early. He was not making as good of throws late, but when that Josh Heupel offense is going, it is tough to stop. And so I'm going to give Georgia a little bit of grace on that. We'll see how it proceeds as we go on here, but good comment. Go ahead, sir.
Well, since I blew the Tennessee call, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think Alabama's going to beat Georgia, and it's a road game for Alabama, but I'm calling it.
Woo!
They're looking really good. Greg, I don't know if it was a catharsis or something. I don't know how it happened.
Oh, my God!
It seems like the team's playing really well. They've shaken off whatever was bothering them in week 1. And, Greg, I'm telling you, the talent's still there, man. They've been recruiting just the same as they've ever have, and they're loaded with 4- and 5-star talent, the same as Georgia. And I think that they're looking better right now, in my opinion. I think they're going to beat Georgia.
Wow.
So I'm calling it. Alabama's going to beat Georgia. And Greg, and this is a commentary also a little bit on the whole SEC. The whole conference is down, arguably even a little bit more down than it was last year. LSU did not look good against Florida. Now, I know there's talk about Nussmeier being possibly injured. I've heard some speculation that he's injured, and Brian Kelly was talking about it today on Feinbaum, I think. But they didn't look good against Florida. Georgia barely won at Tennessee, arguably should have lost. And then an Alabama team that got dominated by Florida State might be the best team in the conference right now. South Carolina looked pitiful. And, Greg, Arch Manning is really playing very poorly for the Longhorns. Yeah. And to me, when you add all this up, when you add all of that up together, it's telling me that the conference is down even more than it was last year.
I'm open to that proposition. I'm not there, though. I mean, I will admit, Arch Manning, because I was the conductor on the Arch Manning hype train, it went off the rails. But DJ Legway, I mean, he's I'm sorry, but he can't play SEC football. Not right now. Maybe someday he can, but right now he looks just terrible. Yeah. Ole Miss is I don't know if Ole Miss is better than they were last year. Last year they were not good enough to get to the playoffs. I think Missouri is really, really, really good. Ahmed Hardy, if you don't know his name, you're going to learn his name. And Bo Pribula, if you don't know his name, you're going to know his name. And so, I don't know. I'm not there with you quite yet. We'll see. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, looking ahead a little bit, I think the Florida head coach, his job is in danger. I think Sam Pittman's job is in danger at Arkansas. And, Greg, don't be surprised, because we've seen this before from Kirby Smart. Don't be surprised if if either of those coaches are let go, they may end up on Kirby's staff. And I think Kirby would cut a big check to get Sam Pittman back to help that offensive line. Because they've never been as good on the O-line as when they had Sam Pittman. And they would love to get him back for recruiting and his ability to just coach so well, the O-line. So, but anyway, that's all I had for you. You're doing great, and keep up the good work, and I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate it, sir. Thanks for the call, my man.
All right.
Beautiful.
Later, Greg.
Beautiful. About breaking news here. We talk about pushed back and forth. Cody Campbell, we went through his letter that he put in the USA Today. SEC Greg Sankey. Talks pushed to amend Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. Viewers of college football and television this season has been treated again. This is from Alabama, AL.com. Excuse me. From Matt Stahl. Viewers of college football and television this season have been treated to a parade of commercials featuring Texas Tech booster Cody Campbell. The ads call for Congress to save college sports by modernizing the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. The modernization Campbell and those connected to him would like to see an amendment to allow conferences to pool their broadcast rights. Combining rights would most help schools like Texas Tech in the Big 12 and the ACC, but the SEC and the Big 10 are likely not as incentivized to make a change, given that those conferences are leading the revenue war. On Saturday, in the press box at Bryant-Denny Stadium before the Alabama football matchup with Wisconsin, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey was asked about the push to amend the act. Sankey didn't sound like his league was all in on the effort. The decision we made, I think we should be honored, Sankey said. I'm happy to have conversations, but it doesn't seem the numbers are consistent with reality. It doesn't seem the suggestion that you can just make this happen honors existing agreements. A lot of that is conference networks, which I just said. So there's a lot more to that than just some magic button. As I've said over and over, we're dealing with complexities in college sports that have to be understood, and those complexities make some of these simple solutions much more difficult than they seem. And I would add, the ACC and the Big 12 and the SEC, the Big 12 and the ACC through ESPN has just made an agreement with DAZN, whatever you pronounce that, DAZN, the streaming partner, to put their content out over Europe, parts of Europe, and part of Middle Eastern. These conferences are making agreements. These conferences are making international agreements. And the Big Ten is probably going to do the same here pretty soon. Sankey's point about existing agreements would likely be a stumbling block, even if the Sports Broadcasting Act was amended to allow leagues to pool rights. Each conference currently has its own TV deals, which would likely require partners to agree to break, something that networks have no incentive to do. The commissioner also pointed out that rights have been pooled before. It's like Doc Brown, Marty McFly in the DeLorean, Back to the Future, Sankey said. There's been this forgetfulness that the NCAA had all the rights, and eventually schools said, wait, that doesn't work. Tried it under the College Football Association. Not everybody participated in that group, and then people spun off. Okay, this is a great point. But I think the plan is a super league. Because if you don't get a super league, nobody's pulling their right. Look, this is a great example from Greg Sankey. It's why if you read Cody Campbell's letter, it all points to a super league. And I don't know how you get a super league unless you force schools into it. And if you're going to force schools into it, then we're going to get a breakaway from the Big Ten and the SEC. And I don't want that. And most people do not want that. So the NCAA controlled college football broadcast rights until 1984 when it lost in court. Cody Campbell doesn't want the NCAA to control the college football broadcast rights. Cody Campbell wants this independent governing body. He wants them to control the football broadcast rights. Independent governing body, according to his letter. Who's appointing the governing body? Why is it independent? Who are they independent from? How is this governing body funded? Okay, so Greg Sankey basically makes a lot of good arguments there, in my opinion. DAZN. Thank you, Jose. I'm probably not going to remember it, but DAZN. Thank you, Jose. Super chat. Ryan Willie, Minnesota had a worse loss than Wisconsin. Wisconsin was extremely to lose to Bama. Minnesota lost to California. Fleck might go to UCLA. Ryan Willie, thank you for the $5 holla. I don't think Fleck's going to UCLA because I don't think they have enough money. We'll see. Minnesota did lose, and look, there's no way. There is no easy way out. Gopher fans, we got to put the oar back in the water. We got to row the boat. We got to put all the oars in the water. We got to move at the same time. We got to have a compass going in the same direction. Row the boat, Golden Gophers. Row the boat. We play Rutgers September 27th. We need to go win that game, and then we need to get ready for those evil Buckeyes, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We deserve to lose. We made every mistake in that game. California didn't make any mistake. And the California Golden Bears quarterback, as we said before the game, he's the real deal Holyfield. He is something else. Yeah, there's no easy way out of it. We got to just work our way out of it, Golden Gophers. We got to work our way out of it. Thank you for the $5 holla. Ryan Willie, Minnesota had a worse loss than Wisconsin. All right, we'll note that up in the book. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity. The Zoo is very good. The Zone. The Zoo. The Zone. Replica. Georgia disrespect needs to stop. Needs to stop. The SEC runs through Athens until proven otherwise. The Longhorn, Replica, the Longhorn is giving big respect to those Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldogs. Okay, we've been on the air for over 2 hours. I did not think we'd be on the air for that long. I want to thank everybody who's joined us today. Tomorrow, we've got a stacked day. Tomorrow, we are absolutely stacked. We are going to be talking about games next week. We're not going to be making predictions, but we're going to list the games. We're going to go through them. We're going to let it all marinate. We got to get ready for week 4. Then we got to update the Heisman watch list. We got to update the hot seat list. We got to give you Hot Board 1.0 of Virginia Tech, Head Coach Hot Board 1.0 of UCLA. We've got a lot to go through, and there is more percolating. DEFCON 1 we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet, but we shall see what happens. We've got the Holy Smokes Theater. We might have to open that up again. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Stick with us. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel. Open up those notifications. Turn those notifications on. We can come on live at any time, morning, afternoon, or night. So subscribe, turn on those notifications, and please share the video with your family and friends. Word of mouth. If somebody's looking for a national college football channel that covers everything in college football, and I mean everything in college football, and we have a lot of fun here, tell them about this channel, have them subscribe, and let them give us the opportunity to show them what this show is all about. I want to thank Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, for his donation. Ryan Willie, thank you for your support and your donation. Thank you, Mayor McCheese and Expedition Greg. Thank you, Tristan 5, for your phone call. I wish we had more time for more phone calls, but we had a long monologue. We had a lot to get through. I want to thank everybody. Thank you so much. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.